In the late 1990s and early 2000s, Anna Nicole Smith was a household name. A former Playboy playmate, she rose to fame as a model, actress, and reality TV star. But behind the glamour and the headlines, there was a tragic story of love, loss, and addiction. Hello lovelies, my name is Laura and welcome back to my channel where I explore the lives of celebrities who have captured the public's imagination. Today we're diving into the fascinating and heartbreaking story of Anna Nicole Smith. From her early years as a small-town girl in Texas to her rise to fame and her tragic downfall. I'll take you on a journey through the highs and lows of her life. Join me as we examine the factors that contributed to her rise to fame, the challenges she faced, and the circumstances that ultimately led to her untimely death. This is the rise and fall of Anna Nicole Smith, a Hollywood tragedy. And thank you, June's Journey, for sponsoring this video. With a colorful cast of people and a gripping detective plot that transports you to the glitz of the 1920s, June's Journey is a hidden object mystery game. Each new scene advances the suspenseful murder mystery plot, which centers on June Parker, the main character, and her quest to solve her sister's slaying and learn the numerous mysteries of her family. She also has a talent for getting herself in precarious circumstances and coming up with creative solutions for her friends' issues. And please download from the link in my description box if you want to try June's Journey. And I love playing this game because I love the design of it. I love that it's vintage and takes place in the 1920s. And you know me, I love the 1920s and I love history. And you must uncover objects concealed in gorgeous, colorful, and expertly made settings in this free download smartphone game. And that's what I like about this game, the beautiful aesthetics. So it's relaxing and it takes me back in time. Your mansion and garden island are up for customization, remodeling, and repair. And they have a Green Game Jam in 2023. June's Journey is participating in the Green Game Jam the third time in a row. June's Journey is excited to bring a more positive impact to the planet and engage more players with green activation. Players are invited to participate in the June's Journey Wildlife Week. By completing 3 time-limited events, they can collect animals from the Himalayan ecosystem. If they reach altogether a community milestone of collected animals, Wooga will donate $100,000 to the organization that supports the selected ecosystem. In addition, they will provide educational content about wildlife in the Himalayas on their social media and CRM channels. And collect animals on Orchid Island, support the Himalayan ecosystem from the 31st of May to July 6th. And make sure you download June's Journey for free by clicking the link below in the description box. June's Journey is available on Android and iOS mobile devices as well as on PC through Facebook games. And now let's jump back into the video. And thank you again, June's Journey, for sponsoring this video. And make sure you click the link below in the description box to download. Anna Nicole Smith left her imprint in some unexpected locations during her 39 years of life. She had a poor life in a small Texas town before becoming a guest model and one of the most recognizable faces of the 1990s. Before reality shows dominated television, she had a reality show. She married an 89-year-old billionaire when she was just 26 years old. After meeting him while stripping, she continued to fight for her inheritance 11 years after her husband's passing, and in 2006, she found herself in front of the United States Supreme Court. Vicki Lynn Hogan's ascent to stardom may have surprised some who knew her when she was a young girl growing up in a small town in Texas, when she quit high school at the age of 15 and started working at a fast food chicken restaurant. But the young woman who grew up to be Anna Nicole Smith had always had dreams of more and better things, just as her idol Marilyn Monroe rose above her lowly beginnings as Norma Jean Baker. Smith, who was born on November 28, 1967, used to carry a few Marilyn Monroe movies in her purse when she traveled.
When did you start loving Marilyn Monroe?
Gosh, since I was really small. I can't even remember. I was really young.
Why? What made you love her so much?
I don't know. We just connect somehow. We have this special bond. It's just like, I don't know. I used to wish she was my mom.
When she was 17 years old, she married Billy Wayne Smith after dropping out of high school. Daniel Smith was born to them on January 22nd, 1986. She gained 211 pounds while pregnant, ballooning to a stature of about 5'11", but when talk show host Kathy Lee Gifford pressed her for an explanation of how she managed to lose the weight in all the right places, she was unable to provide one. Sheepishly, Anna Nicole Smith said, "I don't exercise." And her big break came when she was chosen to appear on the Playboy cover for the month of March in 1992. She was then known as Vicky Smith. In 1993, Hugh Hefner awarded her Playmate of the Year. In a July 2017 interview with Paper Magazine, guest founder Paul Marciano recalled his first encounter with Smith, which occurred shortly after her Playboy debut. He says, "In San Antonio, I came across her. She arrived with her son Daniel, and I was filming Guest Kids," he said. "I questioned, 'Who are you?' She identified herself as a Red Lobster waitress. When I questioned her, she addressed me as Sir. She has never before taken pictures. I had the kids' photographer take a quick photo of her. I brought her to New York where I found her an agent and got her a new identity. Although Anna Smith did not sound right, we settled on Anna Nicole Smith since to me she was Anna." Anna took over for Claudia Schiffer as Guess Jeans brand's new face, encouraging grunge-era waifs to embrace a refreshingly real, but still in a way unreal body type. Smith, who adopted the name Anna Nicole when she was filming her first Guess commercial, concurred on live TV in 1993 saying, "I think a lot of ladies can identify to my size." A week after using a website called Birth Parents to find him, Anna Nicole Smith reconciled with her biological father for the first time since her parents' divorce in 1969. She had also recently started her acting career with one line in The Hudsucker Proxy. Anna flew her dad to LA while keeping her identity a secret and using her maiden name. In 2017, Larry Burkhead, Anna Nicole's ex-boyfriend and the father of her daughter, Daniel Lynn Burkhead, reflected to ABC News that she was living the American dream. Look at this little girl from Texas who went from working in a chicken shack to starring in Hollywood motion pictures. Smith's star was undoubtedly rising, yet only a year later did her Cinderella tale take an unavoidably bizarre turn. After Smith and her husband Billy separated in 1993, she married J. Howard Marshall, a Texas oil tycoon who was 63 years her senior and whom she had first met while working at a strip club years earlier. She argued that love, not money, was the reason she wed him. "Marshall brought me out of a horrific environment, and he cares for me and my son, and in exchange I took care of him, and I loved him for that." She said in an interview with ABC News in 2000, in 1995, Marshall passed away. To the dismay of his family, who was going to inherit all the money, Smith filed a lawsuit for half of her late husband's $1.6 billion inheritance, claiming that even though he didn't mention her in his will, he had intended to create a trust to take care of her just as he had done years before his family. I'm not sure what to make of that, to be honest. I'm trying to think like how I would feel. Obviously, if my father died and then some other person who was a lot younger kind of came in and married him in the final years of his life and wanted billions of dollars, like I think I'd be kind of upset. I'm looking at it both sides, like maybe he should have given her some money. What do you think in the comments below? I'm just kind of curious. Like from the outside perspective, it obviously seems like because he was so much older, 63 years, that she was more after him for the money, but I understand the companionship aspect as well. Marshall's son, E. Pierce Marshall, said that his father had already been sufficiently kind to his trophy bride by showering her with presents and pampering her to an opulent lifestyle. Marshall received practically the entire estate as his inheritance. An $800,000 verdict against Smith as a result of her repeatedly skipping depositions in a sexual lawsuit brought by the nanny of her son led to her declaring bankruptcy in California. In response to her accusations that he had interfered with his father's plans and prevented him from establishing the trust for Smith, isolating the elderly man in the process, Pierce filed a defamation action against her bankruptcy. Smith, who was impoverished and in debt, overdosed on painkillers and fell into a coma. She entered the Betty Ford Center with the intention of being sober, but by early 1996, she had relapsed. Her nipple tore after a breast implant was ruptured, according to a 2011 New York Magazine feature, and the discomfort of the reconstructive surgery led to her taking more pain medication again. And I feel like I've seen that happen so many times. I just watched a movie called The Good Person, and it's like a story like that. The girl got in a car accident, and then she ended up taking pain medication, and then became addicted, and then her whole life spiraled out of control. So I feel like that's a common thing that can happen. It's so sad though. About this time, she lost her representation with William Morris and opted to work with a tiny Beverly Hills law office. Howard K. Stern, an attorney who would play a significant role in Anna Nicole Smith's life for the rest of time, was one of the partners. A federal bankruptcy judge in California sided with Smith in October of 2006 and granted her $449 million in addition to the $25 million in Pierce's restitution after finding that Pierce had intentionally tried to block her from Marshall's money. The amount was ultimately lowered to around $88 million, which is still insane, but Smith would shortly receive nothing from a trial taking place in Texas State Probate Court. Pierce filed an appeal with the U.S. District Court in LA because the bankruptcy court was attempting to overrule the state court's decision. As a result, the award was reduced to $88 million in accordance with Marshall's alleged promise to leave Smith half of his earnings during the relationship. And this was not sufficient for Pierce. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals received his appeal. Although the case would continue, Smith's glamour girl profile had already been damaged by her drug problems, the media circus surrounding the legal processes, and her marriage in the first place. She played the sexy girlfriend of the bad guy in one of the Naked Gun movies in 1994, and she played an ex-CIA agent in the B thriller To the Limit in 1995, but those were the only roles she played in films during the 1990s. After losing her son Daniel 5 months earlier, she put off shooting another movie, and Anna Nicole Smith passed away on February 8th, 2007 from a fatal combination of prescription pills in a hotel room in Hollywood, Florida. Marciano told Paper magazine, "You could sense that she was frail while having such a great personality. Success came and she gained public recognition. She began consuming alcohol while taking sleeping pills since she had trouble falling asleep." And he said that he stopped working with her because he was unable to handle that. And he said, "We're finished," he declared. I believe that's what happened once she met the incorrect people. And it is really so sad that she had so much potential and it just kind of all spiraled. She became a popular culture curiosity when she appeared in the Anna Nicole Smith show on E! In 2002, and this was basically like the start of reality TV. Although the sitcom only had 14 episodes, viewers would often recall the scenes of a barely coherent Smith stumbling over her words, saying some inadvertently funny things, and going about her daily tasks as if she were underwater. She quickly gained a reputation for her shenanigans rather than any obvious career choices. And I feel like I remember the intro to that show and potentially watching clips when I was younger. And some other scandals about Anna Nicole Smith in the 2000s is when she was at the Euphoria Awards, she had a wardrobe malfunction and one of her breasts popped out. And she also covered the area with her hand, but didn't seem very alarmed by it. She was also in the music video for Kanye West's The New Workout Plan that year as well. So it was somewhat comprehensible when she infamously introduced Freaking Genius rapper at the Billboard Music Awards by asking, "Like my body?" She also attended a wet t-shirt competition in 2005 at the Freaky Tiki nightclub in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and allegedly got into a screaming war with Burkhead, who was supposed to be her boyfriend. Before being removed, stories of the altercation appeared on Smith's own website. Stern also appeared to be watching out for her, and later he stated to The Scoop on MSNBC, "We pulled down the postings because we didn't want Anna to be slandered on her own website. To clear up any confusion," he stated that she was wearing pasties and she didn't use any medicines and didn't have a boyfriend. According to Stern, the only thing that was accurate was that I went to save her because she didn't feel safe. In South Carolina, she met some wonderful people and some awful individuals, and I wonder about their motivations. I'm relieved we were able to get her out on time. In February, Burkhead asserted on 2020 that he and Smith were unmistakably in a secretive relationship. "Nobody has ever known that I am her boyfriend," he claimed. "If you watch every video of our relationship, you'll see that I'm always in the back with my camera bag because she didn't want me to be the center of attention." Marshall versus Smith continued to rage throughout. Smith had no rights, and the United States Court of Appeals had concurred with peers in this regard. In response, her legal team petitioned the U.S. Supreme Court, which accepted to hear their case in 2006. Stern and Daniel were by Smith's side as she attended the hearing in February after losing 69 pounds since becoming the face of Trim Spa. A lower court once more chose to hear Smith's inheritance case after the justices ultimately decided 9-0 that her legal battle could go any further. For months after E. Pierce Marshall passed away, his wife swore to continue the campaign to prevent Anna Nicole Smith from ever receiving a penny of John Howard Marshall's wealth. Smith was pregnant at the time of the Supreme Court hearing, it turned out, and in order to give birth to her daughter, Danny Lynn Hope, on September 7th, 2006, in a hospital in Nassau, she withdrew back to the Bahamas. Unexpectedly, Daniel Smith passed away 3 days later while visiting his mother in the hospital, lying next to her, and he was only 19, and that's just so awful. And Daniel's first autopsy was inconclusive, so a pathologist was privately recruited to conduct a second one, and then they discovered that he passed away from a fatal mix of Zoloft, Lexapro, and methadone. And I just don't understand why it just seems weird that he got involved in, I don't know if like he was taking drugs with Anna Nicole Smith at one point or another, but it just seems weird at such a young age that you would be doing that. And Smith was utterly heartbroken when this happened. In her sad mood, Stern and Burkhead were publishing a post imposing declarations asserting their paternity for Smith's daughter. In the wake of Daniel's passing, Stern, who exchanged vows with Smith in a commitment ceremony in the Bahamas but never legally wed her, remarked on Larry King Live, "Through it all, even with all the sorrow, she has been a terrific mom, a very attentive parent." According to Burkhead, she attempted to climb into a coffin at the funeral. "As close as they were, I knew Anna wouldn't be able to care for my daughter on her own after losing Daniel. Personally, I feel she did not survive the death of her son Daniel, who was the love of her life," said Guess Jeans founder Paul Marciano. Although several other men, including Zsa Zsa Gabor's husband, Prince Frederick von Anhalt, came forward as potential fathers, Stern and Burkhead were the two most likely candidates for custody of the child after Anna Nicole's passing. Smith never denied that Stern was Danny Lynn's father, so it would be up to the DNA to provide it in a court of law. Even the disposition of Smith's body was a source of contention. Stern wanted to make the decision as well, while Virgie Arthur, Smith's estranged mother, wanted to return her daughter's body to Texas. Stern triumphed, and the Smith was buried in the Bahamas next to Daniel. Of course, Burkhead was identified as Danny Lynn's father, and he has since dedicated his life to raising that young daughter alone. And Danny Lynn was featured in a Guess Jeans advertisement when she was 6 years old in memory of her mother. But aside from that and yearly trips to the Kentucky Derby, Burkhead and Smith first met while she was filming an episode for her E! Show at the Barnstable Brown Gala that precedes the race. And he largely shields the now teenage daughter from the spotlight, and I think that's probably good, especially after everything that went on with Anna Nicole Smith. But it'll be interesting to see if she ends up getting into the public eye, maybe when she's a bit older. It's crazy how much she looks like Anna Nicole Smith too. And there was an issue with two of the former doctors that worked with Anna Nicole Smith in 2010 in a drug-related trial, and this was whether or not they had improperly assisted Smith in obtaining the prescribed medications that ultimately led to her demise. So this is interesting. It kind of reminds me of the Michael Jackson case, whether the doctors were involved somehow, or, I mean, because if they were prescribing her too much, not checking in, they could be responsible in some way. And Burkhead claimed in court that Smith would declare, "I'm hurt and I don't have a drug problem." Stern and psychiatrist Christine were both found guilty of conspiracy, but in 2011, the judge dismissed all but one misdemeanor charge against them, ruling that the prosecution hadn't established that she and Stern intended to break the law when they bought drugs for Smith under false names. Although an appeals court overruled the judge's ruling, Stern's accusations were once more dismissed by the same judge in 2015. Smith's father, Donald Hogan, blamed Stern for her passing in an interview with E! News in 2009. "No one held a pistol to her head, but someone brought a lot of drugs home, and instead of bringing drugs to someone, even if she threw a tantrum about it, I'd advise her to tell someone else to get it for you," the man said. In September 2009, Hogan passed away. And it's crazy that Smith versus Pierce Marshall eventually found itself back in the U.S. Supreme Court's hands in 2011, but this time they put a stop to the 20-year drama by maintaining 5-4 an appeal court's ruling that the bankruptcy court lacked jurisdiction to distribute the money to Smith's years earlier. In 2011, Danny Lynn, Smith's only daughter, wouldn't be receiving a 9-figure windfall. Burkhead claims that he has raised Danny Lynn that there's no such thing as a free lunch, stating that he did not take money from Smith's inheritance, but instead supported his daughter through his work as a photographer and income from property flipping. And he says excess isn't necessarily a good thing. Observe your surroundings, be decent, and show compassion, and return the favor. You don't have to be a celebrity to reach for the stars. Simply said, Burkhead wants to safeguard Danny Lynn as much as it's humanly possible from harm, including the dangers of the incorrect kind of media exposure, while preserving the best aspects of Anna Nicole's legacy for their daughter. Smith's impact on pop culture, however, has undoubtedly gone beyond that of a beautiful model, actress, and reality star who passed away too soon. Her life had so many unbelievable twists that it's not expected that it would be made into a TV movie, The Anna Nicole Smith Story, as well as a documentary called Addicted to Fame, which includes disturbing footage gathered during the production of the film Illegal Aliens, and there's a new Netflix documentary coming out in May. But for the better part of the decade, there existed a viewership that had no idea what to do with Anna Nicole Smith. At the same time, she was still alive and instead just watched as she deteriorated without understanding what they were seeing and presumably believing nothing genuinely horrible would ultimately happen. Nevertheless, Anna Nicole Smith's tale did not end happily. The fact that there's always a real person on the other side of the lens serves as a warning instead. Burke had remarked, "The thing about Anna was it was almost like a divided personality, because she was a completely different person when the camera was rolling. She was, in my opinion, acting rather than being herself." And as we explore Anna Nicole Smith's life, it's impossible not to feel a sense of sadness for the many challenges she faced. Her story is a reminder that fame and fortune do not always bring happiness or fulfillment, and that the pressures of the entertainment industry can take a heavy toll on even the strongest personalities. Despite her struggles, Anna Nicole Smith will always be remembered as a beautiful and iconic figure of the 1990s and early 2000s. Her legacy lives on not only in the mentions of her fans, but also the impact she made on the entertainment industry as a whole. Let us take this opportunity to remember her with respect and admiration for her achievements and to learn from the lessons of her life. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the tragic beauty of Anna Nicole Smith, and let me know if you want me to cover any other tragic beauties. Alright, and don't forget to check out some of my other videos. See you guys again soon. Bye.